Am I the a-hole if I refuse to babysit my ex-wife's child in an emergency? I, 30M, have a child with my ex-wife, 30F. We married young, had our child young, and then she cheated on me with her current husband. After the divorce, she had a child with her husband. I have never had any kind of relationship or presence in this child's life. I communicate with my ex-wife through an app called Our Family Wizard, and we see each other very infrequently. I keep things civil when I do see her or her husband for the sake of my child, but I do not pretend to be friends, and I have no respect for either of them. My ex-wife's husband was recently diagnosed with cancer. She told me this in person at a school event for our child. While telling me, she admitted they did not have a support network anymore and they had some concerns about what would happen in an emergency with their child. She asked if I would be willing to babysit in an emergency situation since our child will be dropped off to me in the event of one anyway. I told her I would not, and I would appreciate if she didn't ask me again. But ask me again she did, before I could leave. She told me I did not understand the lack of support they have and how their child should be protected the same as our child. She told me I surely wouldn't say no in an actual emergency. I told her to have something else in place for an emergency and not to rely on me because I do not want to be left caring for her child with the man she cheated on me with. I told her she needed to let it go before our child picked up on any tension. She texted me afterward and said I need to reconsider because they have no other options. I replied that my answer was still no and to please use the app only going forward. My attorney said it was the right move because it's documented in case she ever tries to drop her child off with me. He has filed it away in case we ever need it in the future. This isn't about the legal aspect though. I wonder if my refusal would make me an in an actual emergency when according to her nobody would babysit their child. My ex-wife is clearly very stressed, so maybe I'm not showing the compassion I should. I find it hard to have any for them after everything they did. But the child wasn't a part of it and my lack of concern for the child might be worthy, especially in an emergency situation. Am I the a-hole? They need to speak to the social worker at the hospital where he is receiving treatment to see what services might be available to them. OP replies, that's something I might keep in mind to suggest if she brings it up in person again. NTA. She needs to find another option that does not include the unrelated ex-husband that she cheated on. NTA. You owe her and her child with her husband nothing. They have no support system because they are a-holes. Tell her you will keep your child for as long as needed, that's how you can help them. OP replies, I told her that, which she didn't like very much. She said it didn't take care of her other child, which I ignored. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not moving my car and disrupting an autistic student's ritual? I, 48F, have a daughter, 15F, who just had knee surgery. When she returned to school, she was in a full leg brace and using crutches. On her first day back to school, I got to the parking lot early to get a spot in the pickup zone because I knew she was in pain and also would need assistance getting in and out of the car. I was parked there a couple of minutes when someone knocked on my window. I opened it and a mom said, I need you to move your car. I asked why, and she explained that she always parks in that spot because her autistic son has a ritual with the fire hydrant there and that's the only place he will go to be picked up. I responded that I would not move and explained to her my situation. She then repeatedly insisted that I had to move, and when I continued to refuse, she said she would report me. Admittedly, her son did come out to the fire hydrant, and then try to get into my car. I noticed as I was trying to redirect him, and I do work with autistic adults, so I have some techniques of my own, that the mom was standing some distance back with one of the special ed teachers just watching. It felt like they were waiting for me to make some sort of egregious error. I did redirect him with the help of another kid who seemed to know him, and I got my daughter into the car. She was in tears from the pain, and we left. The next day I was not there quite so early, so I did not get that same spot. But the special ed teacher made a point of coming over and explaining to me how my lack of kindness had fully disrupted the young man's ritual, confused him terribly, and caused him to try to elope at school that day. So should I have just moved my car? Edit. My daughter had already been out 10 days and had wanted to return to school and had DRS clearance. It was just a bit too much, even with the assistance she was provided. Edit. Day 2, I also got into the pickup zone, just not that spot. If I'd left the pickup zone the first day, I would have been shunted out of the parking lot and around the school into the line, which would have taken an additional 10 to 15 minutes. I work in autism support, and have autism, and this is the exact reason that you have to work on coping skills and tolerating when things don't go as expected. What would she have done if you weren't in the car? She would literally have no option. NTA. This mother isn't doing her child nay favors by teaching the entire world revolves around his comfort. NTA. One person's special needs do not supersede another person's. Shame on the special ed teacher for getting involved. Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking my daughter and cutting off my parents without telling them? I, an 18F, decided to bring my almost 5-year-old daughter with me, 5 hours away from my parents. I need to know if I went too far. When I was 12, I was SA'd by a family member who was 17, and I became pregnant. My parents were pro-life and forced me to keep the baby, even when I begged them not to. I gave birth at 13 and bled a lot. I had a hemorrhage and they performed a C-section and hysterectomy on me. I had a daughter, and when I was told I would never have kids again, I hated my parents so much for it. They made me suffer over something that was preventable. They decided to lie to neighbors and friends about how the baby was conceived, saying that I was sleeping around. I got bullied in my neighborhood and at school, with kids calling me mommy and making fun of my C-section scar. I lost a lot of friends because of it. There were rumors that I had STDs from sleeping around, and I probably didn't even know who the father was. The father of my daughter, he faced no trouble for the assault. When his family heard about him impregnating me at 12, they moved to a different place and changed everything. I don't care to ever see them again, and I'm glad they left me alone. My parents decided to take care of my daughter and ignored me. The only good thing they gave me was therapy. At one point, I used to hate my daughter for causing me this pain, but in therapy, my hatred shifted more towards my parents. They knew that for my height, age, and weight, I could have died giving birth, and they didn't care at all. She was innocent in this, and I didn't want my daughter to be raised by abusive, narcissistic parents. I didn't want them to take away my motherhood. I didn't want her to have generational trauma. So, when I turned 18, I found my aunt on social media, who is estranged from my parents, and she offered for my daughter and me to live with her. I have legal rights over my daughter. My parents didn't have any rights, they were more like caregivers. One night, while my parents were asleep, I was already packed up, along with my daughter. My aunt came and drove us to her place, and she's paying for my college fund too. And I decided to take a gap year to adjust to this new place. My daughter is adjusting well. She said that she misses my parents. I think we'll be fine. She loves my aunt's dogs so much and would cuddle with them. She's going to kindergarten, and pickups are only for me and my aunt. I told one of my friends who was with me through it all, and she told me that it's kind of heartless that I disappeared without even giving my parents a note or something. She told me I could probably cause them an aneurysm because I disappeared like that. Maybe I should have told them. I thought I was doing the right thing by leaving, but my own friend, who was with me through thick and thin, is telling me that I should have given them some type of note. I kind of feel bad. I have always had empathy for people who were horrible to me, except for my abuser, but now I'm scared they might try to find me and take my daughter or try to turn everyone against me again. I've never parented, so I could be bad at it, but my aunt is helping me. I'm also scared my parents might pass out or something bad if my and my daughter's leaving caused that. Thinking about it is making me more paranoid. So, am I the a-hole? NTA, just think about what your daughter would go through when your parents allow that relative to SA her and get her pregnant so that she can endure everything you went through. That should hopefully dry up any remaining sympathy that you have these absolutely disgusting pos that you were unfortunate enough to be saddled with as parents. You did the right thing by getting your daughter away from them and making a new life for the two of you away from such evil, disgusting scumbags. They deserve nothing from you except total silence and absence. Please do the right thing for your daughter and stay strong. I'm very proud of you for having the strength to rebuild your world after what you have had to endure. Best of good fortune to you and your little girl. Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying it's genetic about my brother/Seal's baby? My Sil is not the nicest person. She rarely talks to anyone and she doesn't particularly like our family, but she loves my brother. She makes an appearance maybe twice a year and that's it. She has this stare that can make you feel tiny and stupid. According to my mom, her dad has the same stare and is terrifying. They went to school together and my mom is convinced her dad is a psychopath. Anyway, my brother and Sil have a baby. She's 9 months old and I went to hold her and she gave me the same stare. When she did, I just blurted out, "Jesus Christ, it's genetic." I was embarrassed. I blurted that out, but I didn't hold the baby and just went to do something else. Apparently my brother is angry about it though and said that I'm acting like there is something wrong with their baby just because she looked at me and didn't want me to hold her. Am I the a-hole? I apologize for how hard I laughed at this. Unfortunately, Uda, but it doesn't sound like you're super close with them either, so it'll probably blow over. Next story. Am I the a-hole for moving out of my dad's house and telling him I want nothing more to do with his wife? My dad's not happy about any of this BTW, but the biggest fight is over the stuff I said to and about his wife and the fact I just left the house. My mom died when I, M16, was 10. She had this antique music box that she gave to me before she got too sick. It meant a lot to her, so I always kept it close, and I wanted to save it for future kids and to remind me of mom. It was always in my room and I didn't listen to it a lot, but just looking at it reminded me of her because she used to dance to the music. My dad remarried 2 years ago and his wife and I got along fine for the most part. It was sorta tense because she thought I'd want a motherly figure and she'd get to do parental stuff. She built it all up in her head and she struggled when that wasn't what I wanted. We kinda figured it out but didn't get close, and then her and my dad had a baby together and my half-sibling was her focus, so all was fine. Then a couple of weeks ago I got home from school and the music box was missing from my room. When I asked her if she'd seen it, she lied and said no. I asked my dad when he got home from work and he said no. He asked me if I moved it without realizing and I said no. I tore my room up looking for it and I searched other rooms in the house. No music box. I went to bed that night and heard my dad's wife tell dad she had sold it to pay for medicine for my half-sibling. She said someone bought it off eBay for $2,000 or something and she waited until she was sending it out to take it because she thought I wouldn't notice immediately. When I heard her say that, I ran downstairs and yelled at her. My dad told me to calm down and that we could talk it out. His wife said I needed to understand that my half-sibling needed medicine they couldn't afford and the music box sold for money to cover it. She said there was no other way. I told her she had no right and it was mom's before and mine now and she was a thief. She defended her decision and told me I was putting a box before my half-sibling's health. I told her she better get it back and she said she couldn't and wouldn't. So I called her a disgusting poss and I told her she was dead to me, she's not my family and she's worthless trash and I wasn't going to live with her or speak to her again. My dad was still trying to calm us both down. I packed up my stuff and texted my grandpa to come pick me up. My dad's wife started yelling at me for waking my half-sibling up. Dad was like, sleep it off and we'll talk in the morning, and when grandpa pulled up he tried to stop me leaving. I said I wasn't spending the night under the same roof as that, just imagine the insult. My dad was trying to say I couldn't leave but I left anyway. My dad has tried to get me to go back home ever since. He told me we need to talk about it as a family and I said there is no family anymore, and his wife is dead to me and I won't have anything to do with her again, and I used all the insults I did that night and some more. He told me not to say those things and I need to find a way to forgive. He said he can get his wife to apologize but we need to move on. I refused. He said he's going to fight my grandparents and he'll press charges if and when he can. I said I'll sleep under a bridge, I'll sleep in a shelter or at the park. I said he can't make me go back. I said I want nothing more to do with his wife. He said I don't need to overreact like this and I owe her an apology too, because treating someone like I treated her and talking about her like I am is disgusting and wrong. And he said I can't run away when I don't like what happens. I told him mom's music box is gone because of the insult he married, which pissed my dad off. Am I the a-hole? Stay where you are. If they couldn't afford meds then they can't afford court costs. Ask your grandparents to help you file a police report. Did they sell their wedding rings or her jewelry or her car? No? She only stole from you? Shocker. OP replies. Literally anything that was hers to sell would have been an option, but no, she went straight for the music box. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel. Our posts